Hello, and welcome to Just the Love Coach podcast. This is episode 21, and today I am live streaming on YouTube and I'm going to be live streaming on Instagram. And today I'm talking about the 5-day fast that I just finished. Hello everyone, and hello everyone over here. I'm also live streaming on YouTube at the moment because I'm trying something new, reaching many different platforms. So today I'm really excited because I want to talk about my 5-day fast that I just finished. And this was my first time ever doing a fast. And what drew me to doing this fast was the fact that for the last few months I've been in a bit of a slump, and I've talked about this loads on Instagram. I just wanted a total reset. I just wanted to reset mentally, physically, emotionally. I've just had a lot of blockages, like in my business. I've been finding a lot of resistance towards doing things that I want to do, like kind of exercising and creating and just loads of different things that I've been wanting to do that I was finding a lot of resistance to. And so in the beginning of December, I set an intention to dedicate the rest of this year to cleansing, clearing, releasing, letting go, surrendering, just really wanting to let go of anything that's not serving me and anything that's holding me back from really just being the best version of me. And so I thought, what better way to do it than to try a fast? And the one thing I do want to say really quick actually is that I did have a little bit of help. I took a peptide, although I'm not sure how it kind of delayed the hunger, which was helpful, but it didn't make it any less challenging as I thought. Actually, I thought it would make it way less challenging, but it was still difficult. So, yeah, really, again, why I wanted to do this fast was the total reset, like I said, and I really wanted to get out of my mind and get into my body, because I have really been stuck in an overthinking loop for months. And this is what was obviously blocking me from wanting to do the things that I wanted to do. It was blocking me from being creative in my business. It was blocking me from a lot of things because I was really stuck up here just on these loops. So, and I wanted to do something challenging and something out of the ordinary, because as I said, I've never done a fast before. So my plan is to walk you guys through it day by day and kind of what my experience was. So first of all, the night before my fast, I ate a bowl of ramen, which probably wasn't a great idea, but I just really wanted soup. And so the night before I started the fast, I didn't sleep hardly at all because I was really uncomfortable from eating ramen, and it was just not really digesting well, which actually is another reason why I really wanted to do the fast, because I experienced a lot of bloating. And I've just kind of throughout my entire adult life, my digestive system has been sometimes great, sometimes not so good. So again, just wanting a total reset mentally, emotionally, and physically. So yeah, day one, I woke up and I hadn't slept well. And another thing that another intention that I set for this fast was not just to not eat, but I thought I won't leave the house. And I had these very ambitious plans, not only to do a 5-day fast for my first fast ever, to go 5 days, but I also had these ambitious plans that every day I was going to meditate, I was going to do yoga, I was going to do breath work, I was just going to turn it into this huge retreat for myself, and I wasn't going to leave home, and I was going to try to include like Vipassana and stuff like that. And so I thought I was going to do a lot, and this will kind of come back again in a little while about how funny it is that I wanted to set this up in a way where I was doing so much, where I was really trying to be super active during the whole fast and just pushing myself to do loads of things and just piling on more and more and more restrictions or guidelines, or just like, these are all the things that I want to do. And so day one comes around and I'm just exhausted because I didn't sleep. So I laid in bed and I didn't work, and I also didn't listen to music, which was huge for me because I listen to music a lot, like pretty much from the time I wake up until the time I go to bed. For the last few months, I have, earbuds or headphones on, and I'm listening to music, which I love music and there's nothing wrong with that, but I kind of questioned whether or not I was uncomfortable in the silence, which has never really been a problem for me before, being comfortable in the silence. But since I had been listening to so much music, it was kind of just a good thing, I thought, to cut it out. Well, it was actually Tom's suggestion, but I was happy that he suggested it and I decided to go with that. So yeah, day one, I just laid in bed until like 3 p.m. and I slept on and off. And then around 3 o'clock, I got really antsy and I said to myself, oh, I should be doing something. I should be meditating. I should be doing breath work. I should be doing yoga. And I should be doing all of these things that I said I was going to do during the fast. And I, of course, observed this and thought, okay, this is quite interesting. Here I am believing that I should be doing something, feeling quite uncomfortable with the fact that I was just laying in bed all day, just sleeping. And so I, just observed this basically and thought to myself, maybe it's best if I don't do anything and just face this feeling that I have that I should be doing something, because in that moment I had nothing that I had to do. It was just that I said I was going to do all of these things every day during my fast. And so once I really pondered this question of what would happen or how would it feel if I allowed myself to actually do nothing, if I actually just let go of the guilt, let go of the shame, and just allowed myself to just be existing in a human being body. This is the language that I was thinking in my mind. It's just like, what can I just lay here in bed and be conscious of my breath, be conscious of the functioning that's happening in my body? What would it feel like if I actually just existed? And this was a big relief, actually. And it ended up motivating me enough to get up. I did get up and I took a shower and I decided to listen to an audiobook while I was in the shower. And I just kind of skimmed through Spotify. And I found this audiobook called The Slight Edge. And the tagline or something, or like the subtitle or whatever, said something about discipline, which has been on my mind for months. If I probably have shared it a lot of times, that I've just been working with this word discipline. And so I chose the book. And in the 15 minutes that I was listening to it in the shower, the author said one thing that really landed to me. Most of the context, not my vibe, like a lot about millionaire success and stuff like this. But overall, what he said was that, I'm paraphrasing, of course, he just said, it's not about the skills that we have or the money that we have or the talent that we have. It's not about like the job that we have or the things that we have. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about the little things that we do each day, the little tasks that we do each day, what we commit to every single day. And this sparked a memory for me. In 2019, I was on a massive, intense healing journey, and I was working with loads of different plant medicines, and ayahuasca was one of them. And after my 4th ceremony of drinking ayahuasca within 1 year, I was journaling because I was very disappointed that I hadn't had this experience yet. And every time I drank ayahuasca, I went in with the same intention. I wanted to be humbled. I wanted to be ripped to shreds. Like, I wanted to just be ripped to bare bones and just be humbled and have nothing, so that I could connect to peace and love and joy and my true self, and with nothing, like, rip me apart. That's what I would say always. And every time, nothing happened for me. And so after the 4th time, I'm journaling. And I'm really disappointed, and I say, maybe this just isn't my medicine. And I mean, that's kind of a line that's said a lot in that community, but I just said, maybe it's not my medicine, like, it's just, they say the medicine gives you what you need, and I'm getting nothing. But I did get what I need, and I did get a message. And in that moment, when I said that, I realized that what was happening is that I was getting what I needed, which was not getting something from something external. Maybe that doesn't sound so well, but basically what I came to is that for me, my growth, my healing, my work, all of the shit that I need to do in my life to be really truly myself and to be in my most well-being, to be the best version of myself, it's not going to come from a weekend ceremony. It's not going to come from plant medicines or any substances. It's not going to come from literally any external source. Like, all of my work personally is done by me and only me, and how I show up each and every single day. And at that time, I didn't have a business. I wasn't doing much, but I just said, in that day, it's about my daily practices. It's about my commitment to my yoga practice, my meditation practice, to all my spiritual practices, because that was basically all my life in that moment in 2019. My whole life just evolved around spiritual practices, and that was my medicine at the time. Doing things that connected me to myself, to my body, to my breath, to my heart. And that's actually where this daily mantra came, which you can't see, but it says, may I show up each day with love, integrity, and humility. And this is where that mantra came from. That journaling session after ayahuasca, when I realized that for me, the work was really about me, and it was all my responsibility. And so at the end of day one, coming back to my fast, at the end of day one, I had this amazing gift given to me just by 15 minutes of listening to this random audiobook, really, which was the reminder that it is my responsibility. How I want to, who I want to be, how I want to show up in the world, what I want to offer the world, how I can be the best version of myself is completely, fully, and utterly only my responsibility. And it made me kind of reflect and question, was I thinking that this fast, I wanted a total reset. This is all so true, everything I said. But in that moment of day one, I kind of questioned, maybe because I've been in this slump and I've had all these blockages and all this stuff that I mentioned earlier, I felt like it was very possible and most likely that I wanted to do this fast because I thought something would give me the answer, or something would do the work for me. And really what I came to realize with insane clarity at the end of day one is just that, again, it's my responsibility to show up in every moment of every single day in the way that I want to. So if I feel like I'm not doing things that I want to do, fasting, it was great and I love it, and I'm going to keep going on about how great it was. But it's really just every single day that I wake up, making a vow to myself, today I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up in business. I'm going to show up for myself. I'm going to get on the yoga mat, damn it. I'm going to do some type of movement, whatever. It doesn't matter if it's working out, yoga, whatever. It's just I want to commit to these things in my life because they make me feel really good, and I want to do my spiritual practices, and I want to focus on work, and I want to, have time for all my relationships because, wow, I have the best friends in the world right now, and I like to spend a lot of time connecting with them. And so at the end of just day one, I already had so much clarity. I already, all the overthinking that I had been doing for months on end was just gone like that. It was fucking awesome. And so, yeah, this was the first, key part to the fast, was just recognizing and realizing that everything is my responsibility. And it's not helpful for me personally. I'm not saying this for everyone, but it's not helpful for me personally to look outside of myself for the answers. It's my heart, my inner compass is really strong, and it benefits me 100% to always look inside my heart and ask myself, what do I need? What can I do? And in this moment, this fast, the thing that was helpful about it is that I was stuck in that loop. I was stuck in the overthinking loop, and I needed to get out of my mind and into my body. And this is what the fast did for me. And this is kind of the biggest difference between the fast and back in the day when I was drinking ayahuasca, is that even though I may have kind of had this intention with the fast that like it was that thing that was really going to, cure my overthinking problem. I mean, it did. But when it comes to the fasting, I just stripped everything away. I didn't add more. I didn't take in more. In fact, I wasn't taking in anything besides that short audiobook, which was the message, But it was still me doing me. It was still me doing the things for myself. It was an act of self-love, an act of self-care to say, I'm going to do something hard. I'm going to not eat. I'm going to, not listen to music. Like it was a real act of self-love for me to be able to dedicate these days to myself. And so I'm really grateful for that. And I'm really grateful as well. I just want to say this, that I feel really grateful for my circumstances. I'm grateful that I live a life, have a business, that everything in my life has been created by me to have these moments where I can take 5 days off work and just do nothing. So I do have to say I'm very grateful for that. And I know not everyone can do that. But everyone does have the opportunity to dedicate some time of their day to nourishing yourself, to taking care of yourself, to love yourself, and taking care of your physical body and allowing yourself time to do nothing and rest and relax. That's all self-love. It's self-love to give yourself permission to do nothing. And that's really what happened in that day one. I said, I should be doing something, but I gave myself permission to do nothing. And then I actually just rested and melted into that, melted into just being in my body, to just existing. All right, so let's move to day two. So day two, I woke up feeling mentally 100%. It was amazing. I had no overthinking. I had my mind was just quiet and just so calm and relaxed when I woke up. I didn't sleep well again, which throughout the whole fast, I didn't sleep well. And I did a bunch of research, and apparently that's quite normal. So yeah, I woke up day two, felt mentally good. Physically, I was still kind of just unsure what was really going on. And then I decided to do an Epsom salt flush because, well, we gotta, if I want to clean and clear and release and let go of anything that's not serving me, I might as well clear the digestive tract, if you know what I mean. And it was cool, actually. I mean, it worked. And by the end of day two, wow, I felt mentally really clear, and physically I felt incredible. I felt really light and free, and just I felt really relaxed in my body. My body wasn't digesting anything. It wasn't using energy for anything. And, I just cleared everything out, and I just felt like I'm free. I'm free. I don't have this mental chatter going on anymore. I don't have, my belly is not 9 months pregnant bloated right now. I just felt so good in my mind and in my body. And it was, that was amazing. I will say that I did have throughout day two, wow, I was craving everything. I wanted also to quit smoking during this time, which I have, so I'm really grateful about that. And I didn't smoke for 3 days before the fast, but on this day two, because I was craving everything, I was I just need pleasure. I want to eat food. I want to drink coffee. I want to smoke cigarettes. I just want to do anything that basically gives me a dopamine rush and feels pleasurable. But I was okay, I can't break my fast. So listen to this. This is terrible. I was okay, I'm going to smoke a cigarette. So I rolled a teeny tiny cigarette and I went outside and I took one puff and I was oh God, this is disgusting, which was incredible. I was so happy that I could smoke it and just be ew, this is really gross, So, ping, tossed it in the ashtray. And I felt so, I felt really good because I didn't like it so much. And I just thought, okay, good. This means that I've really quit. I just don't want this cigarette, which is good. And then because I did that, that made me go into this like reflection on pleasure, because previously I enjoyed smoking. I got pleasure from it. I enjoy eating. I enjoy drinking coffee. Like all of these things, listening to music, these are all things that I really, really get a lot of enjoyment out of and a lot of pleasure. So then I started to reflect on that. What kind of attachment do I have to, not just to pleasure, but to like external things that are giving me pleasure? And can I let go of all that stuff and still tap into pleasure? Into the pleasure of my breath, into the pleasure of feeling my body, into the pleasure of just being a living human being, because being alive is pretty fucking cool. And so that was a whole other rabbit hole that I went down at the end of day 2, was my relationship to pleasure, my relationship to all of these things that bring me enjoyment, and whether or not, if I eliminated all of that stuff, could I still connect to pleasure? Could I still connect to enjoyment? So that was day 2. Day 3, I woke up and again, just feeling so mentally amazing and physically just feeling fabulous at this point. Like, I just felt so empty again. It was just so incredible. I'm like, wow, I just feel so really, really good. And then I went for a walk because I was like, I need to get out of the house, which felt really good. And pretty much all day again, hand raised. Do you want to ask a question, or what do you mean hand raised? Sorry. Well, yeah, if you want to ask a question, you're free to just ask a question in the comments and I will answer it. So day 3, went for a walk. Throughout the whole entire day, basically, I was just, just facing the desires. Like, I really wanted to eat. I really wanted to drink coffee, and I was just, thinking about all the different foods that I love. And I think I went like out and did some errands or something, and I like smelled food and I was like, oh my God, that smells so good. Okay, so Vamika says, how did you resist the temptation? Honestly, this was the reason why I didn't want to leave my house, like kind of why I set up this guideline that I wouldn't leave my house during it, because I knew that if I went somewhere, I'd be a lot more tempted. And I don't have like snacks or like that kind of stuff around my house. Like where I live, it's super easy and cheap to eat out. So I don't have that much food at home. And we basically just have like fruit and eggs here. And these are 2 things that like I absolutely couldn't eat during the fast. So what I did instead was I drank herbal tea. So you technically can drink herbal tea on a water fast. So yeah, again, this wasn't a dry fast. I don't know if I actually mentioned previously that this was a water fast, but I was just drinking water. And then anytime I would have a really strong craving, I would make herbal tea with dandelion root, nettle, and spearmint. So these were like the 3 herbs that I could drink. And I mean, the nettle and dandelion root are really detoxing and good for your organs and all of these things. So hi Katie. Thank you. So basically anytime throughout the whole fast, actually, anytime that I really had a really strong craving, I drank tea, and that gave me some like pleasure and enjoyment, which was of course really helpful. So around 4:30 p.m. on day 3, I had this like emotional wave hit me. I was so hungry, and I was really, again, just in the midst of these intense cravings. And I felt really emotional all of a sudden. And this was another like key part of the fast. It was the last day of the water part, because day 4 and 5, I wanted to introduce juice and things like this. So day 3, it was the last day, and it was 4:30 p.m., I mean, it was getting through more than half the day, because I like to go to bed early. And I wanted to give in so badly. And I felt like a failure. This was really what came up for me. I felt like a failure. Why do I want to give in? Why can't Like, why in this moment when it is so difficult, like, I just want to give in, but I can't. This is what was going on in my mind. And I was talking to Tom about this as well. He's like holding me on the bed as I'm crying, and I'm just like, God, I'm such a failure. Like, why can't I, do these things? Like, I just want to do something hard. I want to be dedicated. I want to be disciplined. I want to be committed. And again, I was facing this deep held belief that I've had for a really long time, that I can't be disciplined, or that I don't have discipline. And again, I mentioned the discipline with the audiobook, and I've mentioned it a few times on Instagram over the last few months, but I've just been coming back to this. Hold on one second. Oh no, don't ignore. Oh, okay. Okay, so sorry, hopefully I didn't lose you, but I have a time limit set on Instagram, and it just told me that my time limit is reached, but obviously I'm doing a live, so I need to be on here for longer. Okay, so I had an emotional breakdown, and I felt like a failure because I wanted to give in. And there's one little part to this, that my period was coming. And so I was really just feeling really, really hungry, and I was craving very grounding foods, and just, it's also been raining nonstop here for days. So of course, you want something comforting and something warm. And I was like, oh, I just really want roasted root vegetables, or something like that. Anyway, so this whole failure thing, it was a really big part, because in that moment when I was crying and just having this emotional intensity, I was feeling like, wow, I was looking at the way that I had set the fast up, and how there was this weird underlying layer to how I set it up. Because as I said before, I was like, okay, I'm not going to leave the house. I'm going to meditate every day. I'm going to do yoga every day. I'm going to do breath work. I'm going to do Vipassana. And I had just set up, it was very ambitious. 5 days, breath work, yoga, blah, 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 all the stuff that I just said. And I'm in that moment when I'm crying, I said, why did I do that? Why, if I want to do something difficult and try something new and just do these things, why am I setting this super high bar? Why not just say, maybe I'll give 3 days a try? That feels a bit more gentle and more tender and more loving and more exciting and more welcoming than, I'm going to do 5 days, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. And I just loaded myself up. And so then in that moment, on day 3, when I'm crying and I want to give in, I had already set myself up for either failing or succeeding. And this duality here, failure or success, this is a duality that I don't want to live in anymore. I don't want to live in a duality of failure or success. Because what is failure? To me, failure is just not trying. But as long as you have tried, as long as you have given it a go, that is already success. That is already progress. That's already something to be super proud of. And so in that moment, as I was thinking about all of this out loud with Tom, I just realized I need to give myself compassion in this moment and be super proud of myself for the fact that I've already gone almost 3 full days without eating, no listening to music, no coffee, no cigarettes, nothing, I had already done I'd already done a lot. I'd already done more than I'd ever done before. And so in that moment, I really just let go again of this duality of failure or success. And I realized that I had already been successful in what I wanted to do. Because I wanted to do something hard. I wanted to do something challenging. I needed a reset. I needed to get out of my mind and into my body. And I got all of that on day 1. So after 2.5 days, here I am thinking, I'm not good enough. I'm not disciplined enough. I'm not this enough. I'm a failure if I give in now and I have juice or something to just give myself some nourishment, then I'm a failure. But I switched that. And instead I focused on what I had done and how proud I was of myself. And I gave myself that compassion. And I just said, if I like listening to my body, because my period was coming, which didn't want that to be an excuse, but it's a thing, But I said, if I give myself permission to not like quit, it's not looking at it like that. Because at the end of the day, whether I do 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, it doesn't really matter. I did 2.5 days at that point, which was more than I'd ever done before. So I was just really took a moment to be compassionate, to be proud of what I had already done. And I gave myself permission to eat something or drink something if I wanted to. But the craziest and coolest thing happened. As soon as I gave myself that permission, and as soon as I like kind of opened my heart in that moment, when I got out of like the disciplined, structured success or failure mind, and I really dropped into my heart in that moment and gave myself compassion, the cravings went away. It was so cool. Like I was just like, oh wow, I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat. I don't want to do this. And I just made it through the rest of the day. And the rest of that day was actually a lot easier after that moment when I really just opened my heart to myself. It was really cool. So that brings me to day 4. So day 4, I woke up feeling fucking fantastic. It was incredible. Like everything I read about fasting says that like, days 1 through 3 are quite challenging, but days 4 and 5, you feel like a superhuman. And literally that is exactly what happened. I felt like a complete superhuman when I woke up on day 4. I just woke up like, yeah, I'm ready to take on the day. I was just super energized. My head was so clear. My body felt amazing. My body looked amazing. And I was just like, whoa, okay, this is really cool. But then I got my period. It came a few days early, which apparently might happen. Fasting does affect your hormones if you're a woman. And so, yeah, and originally my plan all along was to introduce green juice on day 4 and 5 for like a bit more detoxing. And so, yeah, day 4, woke up, got my period, then I made green juice with just choy sum, I don't know, it's some Thai green, kale, cucumber, lime, ginger, celery, and cilantro. So those were all the greens that I put together. And I just had like a few sips of green juice and it felt good. Everything felt really good. But then again, I was craving those like root vegetables again. And I just knew that I needed something kind of like grounding and nourishing, a bit more like kapha vibes, if you know anything about Ayurveda dosha, whatever. So I just felt like I needed that, something like kind of dense to just really like bring me into my lower body to like really just like connecting with my cycle and stuff like that. So I made a pureed soup of carrot pumpkin. And then I just put like salt and pepper and a lot of fresh garlic. Don't know why, but I love garlic and it was really delicious. So yeah, that was really cool. So, but I still, the cool thing is that I ate such a small portion of the soup and I was doing loads of research, and apparently that because I was still under like 500 calories for the day, it was still considered fasting, but obviously not water fasting at this point. So then day 5, well, actually, yeah, okay. So I ate the soup. Sorry, I'm backtracking. I have some notes here, but I ate the soup. And then that night, because I said this earlier in the video, but I was not sleeping well for a few days, like getting really terrible sleep actually. And this night, after eating just a little bit of soup, I went to bed early and I slept incredibly. Like I just slept the whole night. It was really cool. And then day 5, which was yesterday, I woke up feeling like $1 million. I could not believe how good I feel. How good I felt. I mean, and today too, again, woke up. I woke up yesterday just feeling like, again, just so energized. I couldn't believe the amount of energy that I had, and I just felt so motivated. I did like 40 minutes of Pilates on the mat. I wrote an email, like I started making content. I started writing all this stuff. I'm working on a few different offers at the moment that I was just like, yes, on Canva all day designing. Like I was so motivated and so energized. And all of these blockages that I've been having for the last 3 months that were in my own head, let me be clear about that. All of these blockages were just here. They were completely made up by my own mind. And they're all gone now. And it's just because of the fact that I just got out of my mind and I dropped into my body with this fast, which you don't need a fast to drop into your body. There are lots of different practices. And for me, I had all those practices. I have all those practices, but I was super resistant because of the mental issues. So this fast is what, for me, got me out of that slump. And so, yeah, yesterday, day 5, I had my first like proper meal in the evening, which was a vegetable soup. And yeah, that was the end of it, basically. And so what I really learned, like kind of recapping everything that I've just talked about for the last, who knows, 45 minutes or maybe even an hour it's been already. These are the main things that I learned, is that everything is in my hands. Everything is in my hands. It is my responsibility. And I don't know about you, but for me personally, that does not feel like a burden whatsoever. That makes me really excited and really happy that I have total control over me, over my reality. I have total control by my attitude, by my choices, by what I do, by how I show up every single day. That is all in my hands. It's not reliant on anyone else. There's no one else, nothing else out there that can be me, that can do the work for me. Nothing. It's my responsibility, and that is fucking empowering, that I am responsible for me. I get to make the choices in my life. I get to choose who I am, how I show up every single day, what I do, what I give to the world. I get to do that. That's in my hands. That was like the biggest thing for me. It's just like, oh yeah, it's all my responsibility, and that's really fucking cool. So the next thing that I felt like was a big thing from here was self-compassion. And really noticing how often are we beating ourselves up for things that we're not doing, instead of having a little bit of compassion and focusing on all of the things that we do. And not just what we do, of course, we live in this like production heavy world, but I just mean, can we really focus on all of the good things that we are and that we do? Instead of always focusing on what are the problems, what's wrong, what can I fix, what can I change, can we have some compassion for ourselves and make sure that we are taking the time to really intentionally be proud of ourselves and to give ourselves praise for the things that we do? Being alive is fucking awesome, but it's not always easy. And so it's really nice when we can have those moments of compassion for ourselves to say, look at the things that I do. Look at the things that I commit to each day. Look at the things that I'm dedicated to. Whatever it is, everyone has different things. You might think, oh, I wish I did this more. I don't know. I guess I'll use personal examples. Like for me, previously I said, oh, I wish I worked out more. Like because I don't work out, I'm not committed, I'm not disciplined, I'm not dedicated. But I can look at other things in my life and think of how many other things in my life am I completely dedicated, disciplined, and committed to that I do every single day. It's not that I lack discipline or dedication or commitment. I don't lack any of those things. It's just that there are certain things that I am more dedicated, disciplined, and committed to. And so sometimes it's really nice and helpful and essential to give ourselves compassion and focus on what we do. Like the things, well, you know what I mean. Not what we do. Yeah, you get it. Focus on what we are doing. Focus on the things that we can be proud of instead of always focusing on what we don't have or what we aren't or blah, blah, blah. You get it. All right. Don't push or force. So on that day 3, when I was really just having this emotional breakdown, there was a part of my brain, very conditioned part of my brain, that said you have to push through it. If it's hard, you gotta push. You gotta push. Just force yourself to get through it. Just ignore all of those things happening in your body that say that you need some nourishment. Because at the end of the day, that's really what was happening. It's not that I needed food in that moment or, that I was doing anything harmful to my body. I needed to be nourished. I needed to be held. I needed to feel good and cared for in that moment. And that's what besides having Tom holding me, which was so lovely, it was really giving myself that self-compassion in the moment. That is the nourishment that I needed. I needed to be able to tell myself that even if I did eat, I wasn't a failure. I was good enough still. This was a big part of it. We don't always we never want to force anything. It's extremely draining to force yourself to do anything or to force or push against anything. And it's nicer if we can just let go and relax and allow. So I think that if we are really caught up in the mind and we are stuck, we feel really stuck, we're just caught in the loops of a lot of problems, patterns, blockages, whatever. If we are really stuck in the mind and you don't know how to get out of it, you're just like, fuck, I don't know how to stop this loop, I really recommend trying a fast. Or hire me as a coach, but I really recommend trying a fast, because sometimes we do need a little bit of extra something to help us along. And so I really recommend, if you are always up here in the mind and doing physical practices like yoga and breath work and all of these other somatic stuff that I do normally and that I love to share with my clients, sometimes that stuff just doesn't work. It's amazing. I love it. It's a huge part of my life, but sometimes it just doesn't work, and that's okay. So for me, I needed to do something like a fast. I needed something that was a little bit out of the ordinary to be able to really help me get into my body and get out of my mind, just get out of those looping thoughts. So maybe if you've never done a fast before and you are someone who really struggles with overthinking, of course, do it responsibly and do it safely and do your research. But maybe, and you don't need to do 3 or 5 days, maybe just try one day. Just try one day of fasting. And I don't mean just not eating. Give yourself a whole day to lay in bed and do nothing. And just see what happens. See what happens when you're not consuming anything. And it sounds a bit counterintuitive because you're like, oh, if I don't have anything going on, I'm just going to be in my mind and I'm going to have all these thoughts, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, maybe. But could you be curious to see what might happen if you just allowed that for an entire day? Not judging the thoughts, nothing. Just don't consume anything. Just let go of everything and see what happens. Curiosity is fun, makes life fun. All right. The last and final thing that I learned from this 5-day fast is that our physical bodies, these things here, our vessels, this body of ours, this is our foundation. So if we are having a hard time in life, whether it be mental stuff like I just said, if we're struggling emotionally, literally no matter what it is, if we're really going through a lot of suffering and a lot of pain and a lot of struggle and a lot of frustration and X, Y, and Z, you can fill in a million things here. It's so important that we turn to our bodies, that we focus on caring for our physical vessel first and foremost. Literally, I've never really had this thought or said this out loud in the past, because we're holistic beings and we need to, ultimately we want to be focusing on all the different things and nourishing all the different parts and whatnot. But throughout this fast, what I learned is that literally the number one most important thing is caring for our physical vessels. If our physical vessels are in a state of agony and disruption and chaos and just not functioning at an optimal level, all of the other stuff, the emotional, the mental, everything else is going to be so much more difficult to take care of. This was this was kind of the out of ordinary lesson that I learned. All the rest of the stuff, I've learned these lessons many different times and it was more of a reminder, but this particular lesson was new for me. the fact that our physical vessels, like if that is not in the best state, the rest of the stuff is not going to be in the best state. And this was really cool for me personally, because I'm not going to lie, my physical self, like I'm very grateful for my circumstances or my genetics. I don't have to do much to just this is just normal for me. But because of that, I don't really work out. I don't really do anything to like intentionally take care of my physical health or my physical body. I've put so much effort and attention and dedication and commitment to my spiritual practices in my life and to, emotional intelligence and blah, blah, blah. But I've never really been someone who's been like, oh, I'm really going to spend a lot of time and dedication and discipline to taking care of my body. And so that was really cool to realize that, oh no, okay, I actually, not only do I need to take care of my physical body, which of course I've known that for a long time, and I'm very conscious of what I eat, I eat healthy, but realizing that it's best if we actually put our bodies first. And I don't just mean like eat, diet, exercise, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't mean that kind of stuff. That stuff is part of it, and that stuff is important. But there's a deeper layer to that of how are we caring for our physical vessels? Are we nourishing ourselves? Are we loving our vessels? Are we loving our physical body? How much time are we spending consciously connecting to our physical body and giving it love, giving it care? And we do this through eating healthy, eating whole foods, not putting shit in our bodies. We do this through movement and things like this. But can there be a deeper intention there of self-love? Can there be a deeper intention there of really caring for yourself? So, at the end of the day, that's my entire thing about the 5-day fast. I would love to know if you have ever done a fast, or if you would be interested in doing a fast, or, has it ever crossed your mind? Like, what is your relationship with fasting, if anything? And so, yeah, I'd love to know. Either let me know in the comments right now, or if you want to comment on the video once it's posted. If you want to comment here on YouTube, feel free to, or on my podcast, because I'm recording this on all different fronts. And yeah, if you tuned in to the live on Instagram or on YouTube for a few minutes, but you want to listen to the whole thing, it will be on Spotify on Just the Love Coach podcast. So feel free to give it a listen. I know it's quite long, but it might be helpful, possibly. And so, yeah, that's really all that I have for today. It looks like there's only one person actually online right now on the thing. So I would say, normally I'd say if you have any questions, post it in the chat. But since no one is there, that's totally fine. And yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and really grateful to be able to share this with you and hopefully inspire you to maybe fast, but also maybe not. It's not like you have to fast, but hopefully at least inspire you to take some time to intentionally connect to your physical body, to connect to self-compassion, to connect to self-love, and really nourish yourself. Maybe you want to join me on this mission of dedicating the rest of 2024 to letting go, cleansing, clearing, and releasing anything that's not serving you, so that you can come into 2025 ready to really step into who you want to be. And if you want some extra assistance in that as well, I am offering an end of year special right now for my one-on-one coaching. It's $500 off if you sign up before the end of this year, and sessions will start in January. Okay, so thank you so much. You can head to the link in my bio if you want to find my podcast or YouTube, or if you want to book a consultation call for coaching. If you want to join my love letters, everything is in the intro, in my link in bio. Sorry. So yeah, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.